Well, good morning, folks. You may notice that we are looking, we're in the truck stop here, you know, and there I am. Yep, zoom out for you a little bit. You may notice that we're looking under the hood of my truck. We're having our first mechanical issue on the truck, which, and I'll explain, this is going to turn out to be not that big a deal here in just a minute. So you're looking at the coolant reservoir tank there to the right, which you can probably see, especially if I zoom in. Has coolant in it at the low level, and then of course it goes up to the full level when the engine is off. It's running right now because it is hotter than Hades out here. Yep, I mean, beautiful Texas. Look at that beautiful sky, y'all. Okay, so anyways, you know, I twist wrenches and stuff, and I can work on stuff a little bit, you know, not too bad, not too good, just kind of in the middle for pretty okay. But let me flip you back around here so we, okay. So anyways, I am capable of doing a good little bit of stuff. Well, the sensor is all it is, it turns out. And I kind of figured this because, obviously, there's plenty of coolant in the tank. And this is one of my masks. You know, I've got several different ones because they get dirty and stinky on you. But anyhow, the coolant. So I get an alarm on the dash, beep, 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 and a coolant thing, you know, and of course I can top it off just a little bit, but you don't want too much coolant in the system because you can bust you know, your coolant pipe or seals or whatever, you know, because this is a pressurized system in a big truck, you know. I'm pretty sure in this truck. Like I said, I'm not a diesel mechanic, you know, I know a little bit about stuff, and I can work on stuff a little bit, you know. I mean, I know how to twist a wrench and take another bolt out and take hoses off and stuff. I mean, simple Simon stuff, you know, no problem. Anyway, so I was talking to the previous owner of the truck / still kind of owner. Anyway, he said that thing's done that forever. It's just a sensor. I buy a $40 sensor and put in it, and it lasts a few weeks, and it's just a thing. So you can, you know, tap on it, turn the engine off and on, and maybe it'll quit alarming. Right now, it's not alarming. If it starts beeping, you might hear it. But no big deal. You can actually just unplug the sensor and just zip tie it off to the side so it doesn't get tangled up in a belt or anything like that, and then keep on boogieing. But then of course every time you stop, and you definitely want to keep an eye on your coolant, make sure you're not actually leaking coolant out and going to run low of coolant, you know, which usually you know when you have a coolant leak because every time you're parked, even just stop to get fuel, your truck's dripping coolant in addition to the air conditioning water, you know. So you just got to keep an eye on, you know, coolant's red, so it's easy to spot. Coolant in a big truck, you know, some people use the green stuff, I use the red stuff. I guess you can use green in a truck. I just have always used the one type and brand, so that's all I know, you know. It happens to be red. Anyways, it's a 50-50 mix. So, I was kind of, you know, and I don't want to say excited. I never was excited about having to get underneath the hood in 90 and 100 degree weather and work on the truck, but it had been a good video for us to be out, you know, twisting wrenches and having fun, you know, working on the truck, because my adventurous soul, you know, I'm like, hey, we got you know, major problem here. We got to get greasy and dirty, which, I mean, it's really not that hard. It's a couple of 5-gallon pails, drain some coolant. Although TV, the guy says you don't have to drain the coolant out of the tank. That sensor, I was thinking you would have to at least drain the reservoir tank, not the whole system, but the sensor's on the bottom and plugged in. It looks like a headlight plug. I'll throw a picture right here for you. But anyways, that little sensor there, it looks like it's got a plug in, kind of like a headlight plug, is what it looks like, you know, similar to, you know, for people that don't know, you know, what I'm talking about. Just unplug the wiring harness out the back of it, the wire plug, and twist it out, and then replace it, and, you know, and bada bing. But like I said, he says it's been an issue forever. Like I said, the alarm's not going off right this second. So if it starts going off again, I'll just pull in the next truck stop and unplug her and zip tie it back out of the way, and then keep on boogieing. And then maybe later on I'll get through a Kenworth dealer or a truck parts dealer somewhere and grab me a new sensor, just because I like having my road truck, my long haul truck anyway, has to be tip top, and all the sensors working if I can help it. And here's why. Especially right now in the summertime with as hot as it is and as hard as I'm working this truck, thankfully I'm light on this load. I'm on my way to Cali. We are on our way to Cali with this load, come out of Texas. You definitely don't want to be running out of coolant and not know about it, and running low on coolant. So I would rather spend $40, well, which company reimbursed me, obviously. I'd rather us, how about that, spend the $40 putting the sensor on it just so I can, not so much that I'm lazy and don't want to lift the hood all the time and look at the coolant level, but you can't do that driving down the road. And I've got a habit. I like to run a lot of miles quickly and efficiently and get done for the day, and that way I can lay in the bunk and, I don't know, edit a YouTube video or just have a rest break. I like to work hard and quick early. And especially, hey, you run into construction, you run into an accident on the road, you have a 20-minute delay, you only have a 3-hour period in amount of time of 3 hours, let's say that, during your shift of downtime or drop and hook time or load and unload time or time to get fuel or go to the restroom or just whatever. And the reason that is because the way logs work for big truck drivers is that you have a 14-hour window from when you start your day. So if you start, obviously, if you start at 4 a.m. by 6 p.m., by 6 p.m., you need to be done with whatever you're going to do, irregardless of what amount of time you drove or not. Now, with that, you have 11 hours worth of available drive time during your 14-hour shift. So that's where that 3 hours I'm talking about is coming from. So if I get up and drive 6 hours, take a 30-minute break, drive 5 hours, beautiful, perfect. I'm actually gaining time because I'm getting done earlier than I would have had, in a sense. Not really gaining time, but in my mind, start my next day earlier and stuff like that. But anyhow, every time you stop, slow down, you're eating at that 3-hour difference in time. And once you go past that, well, you can no longer drive your 11 hours because your 14-hour clock's going to run out. You do have to take a 30-minute break is mandatory, and it's all e-log, so you can't really cheat it. 30-minute break within your first 8 hours of driving. So that's why I said 6 hours. And you can stop. Obviously, if you're somebody who doesn't want to turn 6 hours in the seat at a time or whatever, and that's fine. I don't always. Don't get me wrong. I'm not always just drive just as far as I can all the time. There are days, especially like I've had upset stomach stuff. I have a real nerve. I can't eat a lot of things, especially on the road. I have to be really careful with what I eat, But you can drive, say, 2 hours and stop and take a 15-minute break, go to the restroom, get a soda in the store, whatever, a bottle of water in my case, and then drive, and then maybe stop 2.5 hours later or an hour later, go to the restroom, drive. But like I said, every time you're stopped and not rolling and you're off the drive line, you're back on off duty or whatever, you're eating that 3-hour cushion, if you will, in there, that 3-hour amount of time in which, separates you from being able to get to your 11 hours, your full driving potential for the day. And you don't drive 11 hours every day, obviously. A lot of times you drive 10 or 9. If you drive 11 hours every day, you run out your weekly hours clock. And the only way to reset that is to sit for 34 hours. And what it is so in, oh good Lord, mind you, I've not been doing a lot of logging, either paper book or electronic book, in the last several years. I'm back on the road now, and that's why all this is titled On the Road Again. I'm getting back used to it. I want to say it's 80 hours and 7 days is how I work. I'm pretty sure. And I don't have to be exactly sure about it because my e-logs tell me how much time I have left to drive, and they figure all this automatically. I do know, and I can figure it out, especially looking at it, and it's in my cell phone nowadays. See, used to you had a computer on the dash, and most all big companies do. This is a smaller company. We use what's called Mctruckerton, Truckin, and it's a downloadable app, and it links to a little box up here on the dash in the truck, which is hardwired, kind of. It's plugged into the computer system in the truck, the stock, the original computer that's put in there by Kenworth, or whoever the manufacturer of the truck is, Freightliner or whatever. And it communicates with your phone, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, however, and does all the actual. So when I start driving, it tells it, and I can't not select driving if I'm moving. I can't unselect it, and I can't select driving. It does that part automatically. I can only put off duty or sleeper berth or on duty getting fuel. But as soon as the truck moves past 5 miles an hour, it throws me to the drive line automatically. Which is great, because I always wondered when they were talking about making e-logs mandatory for every truck on the road, that when they were talking about passing that rule years ago or whatever, and I don't know if they technically have done that yet or not. I don't know. There is some exceptions, depending upon how many trucks are in the company or something like that, I think, or at least there was at the time back then. But the point is, I was wondering how they were going to do that, because it's awful expensive to put a computer that does e-logs, like a Qualcomm or a Driver Tech or something like that in these trucks. This little box that connects to the computer in this truck, I'm told they're around, I want to say it was $250 or $350 or whatever they are, and which is, a little bit of money, but, for a freight company that just bought a $80,000 used truck or a $120,000 newer truck or $160,000, whatever, depends on what you buy. But the point is, that's really not a lot of money to them to be able to run legal and compliant, and you download the app in your phone. Just about everybody nowadays has a smartphone, and I imagine if a driver was an old school guy who just had an old flip phone, we all know those guys, that never did get a smartphone. Well, I'm sure they'd go out of their way to get him a smartphone if they just had to, or ask him to get one or something and show him how to use it. If not, then I guess he'd be running paper logs. I don't know if you still can run paper logs. I know you have to keep a paper log book in the truck by the law, DOT law. I got one in here too, just in case the system were to boo-boo up. You have to have a hard paper copy filled out, at least the best you can, obviously, in place. So you have to have something that's law. But this video got long. Sorry, guys, 12 minutes. And hey, sorry we didn't have any real serious live action where I had to get out there and twist wrenches and stuff. I'm sure it's coming. It's inevitable. When you get out here, you get to boogieing. You can do one of two things. You can work on it yourself and save yourself a lot of time and money. See, even though it's not necessarily my money, it's the company's money, although I will buy this truck one day, probably, maybe. We'll see. I can't really say what I'm going to feel like 2 or 3 years from now. But it would be that long, probably at least a year or two, if not 3 years. Anyhow, the time factor is also the thing. If I put in a service call, a mobile service call for them to come out here, I'll sit for hours. And then I gotta wait on the guy to do it, and it's god awful expensive. If I go to a shop, if the truck's drivable, whatever may be wrong with it, and I go to a shop, it's not as expensive as a road call, but it's still expensive, especially at a Kenworth dealer or whatever Freightliner dealer, Peterbilt dealer. Just like when you take your car to get worked on, it's expensive to work on a car at a dealer. And there are other shops too that work on big trucks, just like cars, that aren't dealers, and they're not as expensive, but it's still labor is expensive, especially work on a big truck. Just because they know you haul freight and make money, your company makes good money, and they can charge a higher price, or it's a lot more than working on a car. And anyway, so I learned a long time ago that I was going to have to spin wrenches on this, and obviously, like I said, I'm not going to build a motor. I can't do an in-frame. I've never done it. I only know that I would try it. Maybe one day if I ever get good enough at it, but I don't think I'll live long enough to do that. But I had to put a starter on the truck I owned back in, oh good lord, what was it? I don't even know, 2010, 11, something through there. It's been years ago, 10 years ago or 8 years ago. Anyways, I was on my way home. I pulled into a place, restaurant to get some food on the way home. I was bobtail. I'd already dropped my trailer at the yard in the city outside of where I live. I pulled in there and went back outside to start take off, and sure enough, it just popped, just a rather clicked, and that was it. She was done. So I had to, you know, actually, luckily I was close to my home, so a buddy of mine, a friend of a friend, something like that, kind of, that is a diesel mechanic, interestingly enough, rode over there, and I went and got the part and come back, and he helped me out with it. But of course I did. He wanted me to do a good bit of it, and or actually I was the one that was able to get one of the bolts started, as opposed to him. He got frustrated entirely. He said, "See if you can get that thing in there," you know. And that's the reason that was such a problem. The frame rail on the tractor, on the big truck, semi, that runs along the main frame of the vehicle, that runs alongside either side of the engine. The starter on that particular truck, and I imagine a lot of them, sits on the side of the motor almost into that frame rail. And so imagine, you know, obviously on a big truck, a big motor, the starter is much bigger and heavier than it is on the car. You know, to chest press it up there and hold it and try to get these big old bolts started, especially in that tight confined area, is a mother. Oh yeah. And let me tell you, lay on that ground sweating, you know, it's fun because I love to do stuff like that, and I love to be able to do stuff like that. But it's not something I would wish on anybody, and it's not something I want to have to do again if I can get out of it, you know. Obviously, I'd do it to save us a whole bunch of money if I had to. But mercy sakes alive, that was a pain in the you-know-whats and the you-know-where. I'm going to close up the hood here, and I'm going to get ready to boogie in a minute. I might do some video while I'm driving or whatever I can figure out. I still got to, guys, you know, I'm just, you know, full disclosure, to be honest with you, I'm a little short of money right now. I'm just getting back on the road. I've been out of work, so I'm going to buy, eventually, a dash mount or a windshield mount holder where I can make this thing sideways and do some more sideways video. I mean, more video that's not right. And I noticed posting the last video that even though I did it all sideways when I recorded it, it's still compacted small when you watch it on YouTube. I don't know. I got to figure all that out. I told you I'm just learning this stuff, so guys, just bear with me. I'm sorry. It's not, you know, good, high quality, full screen, all that kind of stuff or whatever. But just comment below if you know. I'll tell you, the video editing thing I'm using, the app on my phone, is called Video Guru. And I might just have to look at a different one. You know, obviously, if you go to your Play Store or whatever in your phone, you can find several different video editing app and/or software, you know, things, or some that are and or not, say, YouTube editing on them. Sorry, guys, backing in next to me. All right, guys, 17 minutes. Holy cow! Let me get out of your hair. Love y'all. Those of you who know me, I miss you. I'll see you when I get back through town or whatever. All right. Stay out of trouble. Stay safe. All that good stuff. Trucky Mctruckerton is out.